Hello, what is up? I'm Randroid and I'm here today. Don't have my mentee Miguel. He's taking a rest day. We did a long stream yesterday. But I did want to clean up this project a bit. Specifically, I wanted to start getting some unit tests in our code. So that's what we're going to focus on. Be right back and we'll get started with that. 1 second. And we're back. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll try to keep this pretty straightforward. First things first, you can do some testing directly in the Unity editor. Now, when I say testing, I specifically am talking about testing the code, unit tests, test automation. So to do this, we want to open up this window here under Window General Test Runner, and I'm actually going to dock it next to my project. All right, and then from here, we're going to have to create test script in current folder. So I want to put this in our project, Pseudo Paradox. Actually, it might be this button we need to click first. So I found a good tutorial online, Ray Wenderlich, I think it's pronounced. I've used these tutorials before for their Android and iOS content, really nice stuff. So definitely recommend you check it out. This here's a free one. And so the step we're talking about here is in the test runner, you want to hit create play mode test assembly folder. Okay. So the reason we're doing this is we could just run tests in Visual Studio Code using like XUnit or NUnit or a bunch of different testing frameworks that C# supports. But we want to do something that's going to work with the Unity editor and engine, right? So we have to connect Unity to our tests. So specifically, it's going to use NUnit, which is has a Microsoft's binary file here, nunit.framework.dll. So this is how it's going to connect to the NUnit. If you've done any kind of unit testing, NUnit is just like Jest or any kind of testing, Jasmine, some kind of testing framework that you're used to that has like assertions and a test cycle with a setup and teardown and all that. We'll get into that. If you haven't done any testing, that's fine. We'll walk through some basic tests for the code we've already written, actually. All right, so let's get started. Follow these steps. Create edit mode test assembly folder. I guess we'll call it tests. I don't know what they called it here. Yeah, test is fine, it says. All right, so yeah, this is just talking about how there's two types of tests. There's tests in play mode, which is testing your game logic, and then there's tests in edit mode. So if you're customizing the Unity editor, if you have extra buttons, macros, and things you've set up, you may want to test those as well. So those would be testing edit mode. So we're just going to stick with play mode for now. All right, next important step here is, okay, so it's kind of some magic C#/Unity setup stuff. But basically, in addition to creating the new C# file, Unity also creates another file called test.asmdef. So it's an assembly definition file. Kind of like an interface for binaries or something. I don't know exactly how it works, but this is part of the magic of connecting Unity and NUnit. All right, so did I miss a step here? Yeah, I did. So select test folder, and in the test runner window, click create test script in current folder. All right, so tests, and then go back to our test runner. Now we can use the second button here, and we'll name it, they say test suite. I don't know what our first test is actually going to be. maybe, let's say, motion manager. What is it called? Player movement manager test. Okay, so this is going to be a set of tests specific to, let me show you the code I'm talking about. So on the door trigger, we have a door trigger script, but it has a property for player position manager. That's what I'm talking about, actually. Here's the actual player position prefab. It has the script player position manager. Also, under actors, the third-person player has a property on its third-person movement script for the same exact player position manager instance. So that's the thing we're trying to test, because that's kind of the bridge that's connecting all of our pieces right now, at least a lot of them. So let's change this to player, because I named it wrong, position manager test. All right, great. Next up, so we have to make sure it created this ASM def file. I don't, where would this be exactly? This is an assembly. To ensure the test code has access to the game class, you will create an assembly of the class code and set the reference to the test assembly. Click scripts folder, then select it. Right-click this folder and choose create assembly definition. Okay, so this is how it's going to tie the editor to our test. So under scripts, right-click, I don't see it. I like how these are wrong. These are named wrong. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete this test, recreate it. The rename didn't really work. Just ran them. Yeah, so under tests, looks like I can't rename the file. It's just the file. You have to actually rename stuff inside of it. So deleting. Okay, it's deleted. Go back here. Create edit test assembly folder. We already have that folder. It's weird that it wants us to create it again. There we go. So now I'll name it the right thing. Oops. Did I forget again? It's player position manager test. Cool. All right. So now under test runner, you'll see inside of the tests, player position manager tests, you'll actually see there are two tests. These are just default tests that are with the file. Player position manager test simple passes, player position manager test with numerator passes. We'll look at that later, but basically these are just placeholder tests that they give you, and they should pass when you run them all. But we need to do this other piece where it says associated with your script, so I don't see that actually. I probably just forgot exactly what it said. It said create assembly definition. Okay, so missed a step. Create, here we go, assembly definition or assembly definition reference. Assembly definition. Okay. Assembly definition. There we go. Shoot, what is this called? Game assembly. Yeah, because I guess it's for all the scripts. Maybe game assembly makes sense. Game assembly. And then we don't need this one. Okay, now that we've done that, this is all just wiring up the test. All right, click the test folder, then click the test assembly definition file in the inspector. Click the plus and under assembly definition references heading, and then find game assembly and apply it. Okay, so let's look for that test. Just I already lost it here. And unit framework. Is this what it was talking about? Or was it talking about the test itself? I don't remember. Asset bundle. click the test folder, then click the test assembly definition file. So we're looking for the test assembly definition file. Is that what this is? So in this picture it shows general definition constraints, or define constraints, assembly definition references, unit references, platforms, assembly definition references. Maybe it's this, version defines, resource. No. It's got the platforms. This just looks slightly different. Assembly references is already set to end unit. Maybe that's in this picture as well. Assembly definition references. So it's already set to end units. I guess we have to just set a second thing. Okay. I wonder if end unit already is just set up automatically now in Unity, and this whole process might not even be needed. This is talking about these assembly definition reference. Oh, it was. Okay, so sorry. This one doesn't have assembly reference. It just has assembly definition reference. That's the one I wanted. Okay. Why did this not work, though? I need to choose game assembly, which I did. Okay, now it's set. And I have to apply it. It said apply. Cool. You'll see missing reference. Click that. Okay, we did that. Apply, we did that. Alright, so now in the test we should be able to reference our scripts that we want to test, specifically that player position manager test, or code, sorry. Alright, so let's open up our test suite here. And here's an example of a test. Let's take this. Alright, so under test suite test this, here we go. So this is our new script. They gave us this one. Let me compare this to what we actually have. Okay, so, well, cool thing, actually, before I paste this, test behaves as an ordinary method. So there's a regular simple test here that doesn't use anything from Unity. So we could have this, or we can have a Unity test, behaves like a coroutine in play mode. In edit mode, you can use a yield return null to skip a frame. So I'll explain what that means. Basically, the tutorial I saw talks all about the Unity tests, and so you have to actually, you're testing it with the Unity game loop. So basically what it means is you set up your environment, the thing you want to test, by like instantiating objects. Then you wait a fraction of a second, like a frame or whatever, using this yield return bit. And then you check the state of the world after the loop has, you know, looped once, right? Ran once. With a regular test, you are just testing your code in isolation. You're not really, as far as I know, you're not instantiating it necessarily. Like in the game world, you could just create a class. Like, for example, my time container is not a mono behavior. It's not a Unity thing. It's just a class. So I could test this in a simple test. I don't need a Unity test. But for player position manager, it is a mono behavior. So we're gonna try testing it with a more complicated test, though now that I think about it, this guy might not need a Unity test. If we look at it, what does it do? So it has some data, and it has 3 functions. One of them is not even being used, actually. And actually only one of these is public. This one is internal. It gets used by someone else in this namespace. Where does this get used? Find all. The door trigger. Okay, so door trigger, we'll call this. Alright, well, what does this do? So this pretty much only does, you know, stuff unrelated to game objects. Like there's a vector3 position here, yes, but there's nothing that's like with physics or motion or whatever. Like this is just storing data and clearing data. So maybe a simple test is better for this. So I changed my mind. Let's just write a simple test and we'll come back to the whole Unity testing once we need that. Okay, so in the simple test case, we want to try to instantiate the thing under test. So in this case, a player position manager is what we're testing. So player position manager. Not a test. New player position manager. All right, and it's saying it can't find it. Maybe it just needs to import it. Looks like I deleted a curly brace. Okay, so let's try to import this. Generate. No. So it doesn't have access to it. And this, I just realized, is this? No. Okay, so it can't see it. So I wonder if our assembly business failed. Also, we have some other errors here around not being able to find things. So if we go to our clock, you can't find TMP text. So something with the assemblies got all funky. Let's see if we can fix that. The type or namespace name TM Pro could not be found. Are you missing a using directive? Well, let's check. Are we? This is inside clock. So we can't find this. Why? Yeah, something wrong here. Wonder if we can rebuild. Two failed. Try cleaning it. Two succeeded. Build. Two failed. Okay, so something went wrong. Game assembly. Here's our game assembly. It says do not copy. What if we compile it when we build? Interesting. Unity editor, test runner. Override references. Auto reference, no engine references, override references, root namespace. Looks like platform's only thing checked is editor. What does any platform do? What about Windows? Okay, well, one thing we can do is we can revert all of our code changes. So let me close out Visual Studio Code and the editor. We'll start over. Okay, in this case, I can just delete all these. Okay. The power of Git. Maybe those steps are outdated, so let's look at the Unity documentation. So it says the Unity Test Framework package, formerly Unity Test Runner, is a tool that allows you to test your code in both edit mode and play mode, and also on target platforms. I wonder when that changed. Maybe I'm on too old of a version of Unity. And 2020. Roslyn and analyzers and rule sets. Using existing Roslyn, no. Doesn't want to do unit testing. That seems... That can't be everything. Okay, here's the test framework. Okay, so UTF uses a Unity integration of NUnit library, which is an open source unit testing library for .NET languages. Currently uses NUnit version 3.5. UTF is not a new concept or toolset. It is an adjusted and more descriptive naming for the toolset, otherwise known as Unity Test Runner, which is now available as this package. So we have to install this. To install the package, follow the instructions of Package Manager documentation. Search for Test Framework package. Test Framework package. Okay. Let's try that. Alright, why is Unity so slow at loading? Oh, 20.2. Okay, so this was... this is in 2019.2, so we should be good. Alright, let's find the package manager. Where are you, package manager? Reset packages. Tools. Progrid. No. Cinema machine component. No. Game object. No. Assets. Show and explore. Import assets. No. Maybe it's under build settings. Not build settings, but some other settings. Product package manager. No. Alright, let's do this. This is package manager documentation. Use the Unity package manager in Unity's top menu window package manager to view which packages. Well, that makes sense. Window package manager. How did I not see that? Okay, and then we're going to search for test framework. There it is. So update to 1.129. Alright, so I had it installed, but now we're updating it. So let's see how to use it. Getting started. Alright, test runner. To get started, you just follow the workflows below. How to create a new test assembly. Unit test framework looks for a test inside any assembly that references NUnit. We refer to such assemblies as test assemblies. The test runner UI can help you set up test assemblies. Play mode, edit test needs to be in separate assemblies. So in the test runner window, you will see an edit mode tab enabled by default. Alright, click the button to create a test folder with a respective ASMDef file by default. Change the name of the new assembly definition if necessary, and press enter to accept. In the inspector window, it should have references to NUnit framework, Unity engine test runner, and Unity editor test runner assemblies, as well as editor pre-selected as in target. Okay, yeah, it's pretty much the same steps. May need to update Unity as well. Alright, let me open up Hub, installs, official releases, 317F1, install 18F1. We'll let that run. But this should work. try opening up in this version, which is already installed. Maybe we shouldn't do that until we get the latest version, which is installing here. I just want to see if that error went away. So I'll just open it up in the old version for now. How's everybody doing today? Working on anything fun? Seems like after adding the test framework, now it's re-importing everything. Let's read some more documentation. Oh, wait. So I have to recreate the test folder. In the inspector window, it should have references. Yeah, we already read that part. Create a test. Create a test assembly folder and select it in the project window. Click the button Create Test Script in Current Folder option in Test Runner window. It creates a new test script. Create additional tests in project window. In the project window, select Assets, create new test assembly folder. Okay, did we skip this before? We didn't do this, did we? In the project window, select the new folder. Create new test script in the folder. Menu asset create. Isn't it the same thing as we did here and then here? Okay, assembly definition assign the same name as your new assets. By default, any platform is pre-selected as the target platform for the new assembly, which means the test script appears as a play mode test in the test runner window. To change it to an edit mode test and then blah blah blah. New assemblies created to the assets menu should automatically include references. Yeah, so we already did this as part of this create a new test assembly. I don't know why they're defining it twice. If you have a lot of tests and you only want to view run a subset of them, you can filter them. Cool. This is very basic documentation. JetBrains Rider. Maybe I should install JetBrains Rider. Sounds like it works better with Unity. Just open twice. I'm gonna close this. It's downloading. Yeah. Okay. I wonder if it's stalled. No. I don't know why it re-imports everything. It's kind of what it warned of when I was going to switch platforms or switch versions, but I didn't. I didn't switch. Extending UTF. How to split the build and run process for standalone play mode tests. Pink, purple, magenta. Didn't load the assets yet. This is crazy. Can I play it? Compiler errors. Weird. So yeah, this is still broken. Huh. Why? Team Pro. Here's a temporary solution. Maybe it's not the best solution. In the editor, in the folder, go to package attachments, but right click the TMP folder and select show explorer, copy the folder direction, or just go to blah 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 blah. You'll find all Unity packages, in this case Unity. Follow one of these steps. I'm not sure which one is the best. Copy the scripts you need. In my case, is I go to paste them into your project folder again. Visual Studios should be able to find that .cs file in Visual Studio in the Solution Explorer, usually in the right part of the screen. Find the folder under Text Mesh Pro for the Unity to runtime, and right click and add an existing item and add the script you need. Apparently that happens because in this Unity version, the package manager tries to copy and paste the packages to a local project folder, but for some reason they are empty and Visual Studio expects to be there, all the package files in there. I still don't know if that's a problem in this Unity version or something is wrong with my PC. Better solution, just update Visual Studio. Okay. Oh, here we go. If so, then open your ASMDF file with the inspector and make sure that the unity.testmeshpro is on the assembly definition references list. It is not added automatically when you import. Well, that would explain it. A little weird since we got rid of the assembly definitions though. Okay, new version installed, but before I switch, I gotta get this one working again. Build target does not include definition of a Visual Studio, blah blah blah. I wonder if we need to update Visual Studio. Before we do that, let's see if the let's see, window, panels, where's the test runner? General, nope. What the heck? Where did it go? Window General Test Runner. It's not here. Okay. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I don't think it liked how I reverted the changes. Just being really weird. So let me try to run this in the latest version and just refresh everything. And in this case, I do want to update Visual Studio. So I'll save with a different version of Unity, blah blah blah. Save project does not match launch. This may require re-import because where the open and older version is unsupported. Note if a build target installation is missing, that may cause a re-import. If you proceed, some packages may be updated for. Okay, let's do it. Alright, we'll be back when this is done. we're back. So this is the new version of Unity. It does have some issues with some of the animations, so I wonder if this matters. This talks about car sports. We're not using those. This is a jump, sit. We are using idle. This may be a problem. I'll try running the game, see what happens. It looks like he's still idling. He still walks. And let's go through the door. Alright, still works. Game works as expected. Kind of. Okay. Alright. So let's try to add the tests, and actually let's look at the code. I want to see if the code's giving us any errors like before. Seems fine. Maybe it's still loading, but I think we're good. Okay, back to square one. Alright, first step, Windows, General, Test Runner. So now it's showing up again. Good. We'll put it here. First step, go to my project, go back to the Test Runner, click this button to create the assemblies. Sure, we'll call it tests. Go to tests, test runner, create test script in current folder. So before I do that one, I might be in the wrong folder actually. Let's double check we did these steps right. Okay, let's see if this is referencing. It is test runner and unit. Cool. Next step, how to create a test. Create your test assembly and select it in the project window. Click the button create test script in current folder. Interesting. They say to select your test and then click this. Let's do that. So we're selecting the test. Then we click this. We'll call it player motion. I already forgot the name again. What's the player motion? Player movement. Player motion. Player motion manager. Test. Okay. Now we have that test script. Now you can open the test in your favorite script editor. You can also create a test scripts by navigating to create test editor. We don't need to do that. Okay, but let's see if that actually worked. Assembly. The assembly definition file will not be compiled because it has no scripts associated with it. So how to run a test. This didn't say anything about adding the assembly reference, did it? Okay. To create a play mode test, you can follow a similar process. To create edit mode test, start switching play mode to create a test assembly folder. If you don't see the create play mode test assembly folder button, enable, make sure. Okay. Unit test framework adds a reference to test assemblies in the assembly definition file, but does not include any other references. To test other assemblies, you need to add them in the assembly definition yourself. For how to add assembly references, see assembly definition. We recommend putting tests into separate assemblies and using assembly definition files. This way, you will have more control over which assemblies need to reference test-related DLLs. build with test assemblies. Enabling play mode test for all assemblies. Includes additional assemblies in your project build, which can increase the project size as well as the build time. The supported workflow is to exclude test assemblies from player builds. You can choose to enable player mode test for all assemblies to run your tests inside the editor, but this should be disabled again before building the player to prevent build failures. To enable play mode test for all assemblies, you need to set the flag play mode test runner enabled to 1 inside the project settings file in your project. Before building the player, you must disable it again, either by setting the flag back to 0. Okay, interesting. So we need to follow these steps. Assembly definition. Assembly definitions and assembly references are assets that you can create to organize your scripts into assemblies. An assembly is a C# code library that contains the compiled classes and structs that are defined by your scripts, and which also define references to other assemblies. See assemblies in .NET for general information about assemblies in C#. By default, Unity compiles almost all of your game scripts into the predefined assembly, assembly-c#.dll. Unity also creates a few smaller specialized predefined assemblies. This arrangement works acceptably for small projects, but has some drawbacks as you add more code to your project. Every time you change one script, unit has to recompile all the other scripts, increasing overall compilation time for iterative code changes. Any script can directly access types defined in any other script, which can make it more difficult to refactor and improve your code. All scripts are compiled for all platforms. By defining assemblies, you can organize your code to promote modularity and reusability. Scripts and assemblies you define for your project are no longer added to the default assemblies and can only access scripts in those other assemblies you designate. Okay, interesting. Defining assemblies. To organize your project code into assemblies, create a folder for each desired assembly and move the scripts that should belong into each assembly into the relevant folder. Then create assembly definition assets to specify the assembly properties. Unity takes all of the scripts in a folder that contains an assembly definition asset and compiles them into an assembly. Once the name and other settings defined by the asset, Unity also includes scripts in any child folders in the same assembly unless the child folder has its own assembly definition or assembly reference asset. To include scripts from a non-child folder in an existing assembly, create an assembly reference asset in the non-child folder and set it to reference the assembly definition asset that defines the target assembly. For example, you can combine the scripts from all the editor folders in your project in their own assembly, no matter where those folders are located. Unity compiles assemblies in an order determined by their dependencies. You cannot specify the order in which compilation takes place. To create an assembly definition asset in the project window, locate the folder containing the scripts you want to include in the assembly. Create an assembly definition asset in the folder. Menu assets, create assembly definition, assign a name to the asset. By default, the assembly file uses the name you assign to the asset, but you can change the name in the inspector. Okay, so we need to do this. Create assets, create assembly definition. So we go to our scripts. We go assets, create assembly definition. And we name it game assembly. Okay. And let's see if we broke our scripts. Yeah, that breaks our scripts. So we need to open up the game assembly and we need to add a reference. Assembly definition references. So we want to add TM Pro. Where is that? Text Mesh Pro Editor, Text Mesh Pro Test, Text Mesh Pro Test. So maybe both of these? I'm not sure. We'll start here. Okay, apply. So I'm starting to figure out how these things all connect. So the type of namespace name TMB Pro could not be found. Reload. Okay, looks good there. Let's see if it's good here. Let's run. There's a weird bug here where it doesn't move my position back to 0 every time. Need to figure that out at some point. It's only sometimes. It's like a tiny thing. Okay. Regardless, I think our issue is fixed. The only thing now is the tests don't know about the code. So now we can add a game assembly. Boom. Alright, this actually kind of makes sense now. So let's open up this test. So if we go here, yes, reload all, go to our test. We should be able to run these tests. I'm going to try to run it through here. I don't really know if this works. Yeah, it doesn't really work. They say that using different IDE instead of Visual Studio, using the one from JetBrains, it's called Writer, would work. But for now, we need to run these in the test runner themselves, it looks like. So go to test runner, and here's the test I was looking at, the test suite. You can run these all. Just run the whole thing. Everything passes. Great. All right, so let's dive into actually writing a real test. So we can do assertions. So we'll do assert dot true is true, and we'll say false. So what is that going to do? Well, it's going to say every test should have an assertion, right? So you're asserting something is true about the state of the world at the end of the test. So at least one thing, right? And so in this case, I'm stating that the variable or the Boolean false is true. That's not true. So that's going to actually fail this test. So I'm testing the test, right? So let's run the test. Great, it failed. It said expected true, but was false. Great, so now we kind of get the idea of how a test works, right? Well, let's do a bit more. So what do we actually want to test? Well, let's change the name of this test. Command R, nope. Alt R. Oh, that's right, I can't rename. Alright, I'll just type it. So what we really want to know is when player motion manager created, then what? What happens when it's created? I don't actually remember. Let's check. So first thing you do when you create this guy, nothing in start. In fact, I'm going to get rid of that. But there are some things set up in the inspector. We'll move these. Or these are hidden from the inspector, I should say. Let me grab this. There's some properties here that have values at the start. Okay, so anything that has a default value, we could test. So the starting position, for example, it has to be public as well. So starting position, current instance, what else? And then this time machine. These ones also public, reset position, time to position dictionary. Okay, so these 4 variables basically could be tested. So we'll say then, so what's our test? I don't know how valuable this test is, but we're just getting started here. So we'll say then default properties set. Okay, so let's create a new player motion manager. Player motion manager. Okay, it doesn't know what it is. Player motion manager. Manager equals new player motion manager. Okay, great. Let's see if we can import it. Generate. No, it doesn't know what it is. Why? We added the game assembly. So why does this not know about. Here's the game assembly. Is it because it's a mono behavior? Does it have to be? No. No, that's not right. Okay, Unity n-unit test not finding script. Test runner edit mode, create test assembly folder, and once you navigate to the new test assembly folder, use the create test script in current folder button. In particular, your test.asm def is missing an editor and include compared to the default setup. I don't really need editor though. You should not have to do anything manually in Visual Studio Project for the purpose of setting up your test. Note that when my assembly file is set to any platform as follows, like in your question, my tests do not show up in the test runner window. When my assembly file is explicitly set to include editor platform only, as per my previous example, my tests show up correctly in the test runner. This behavior seems a bit counterintuitive to me. You also need to set up your assembly definition for your scripts under your scripts folder. Create an assembly. This is what we call game assembly. Or manually. Then make sure your test.asmdef reference your script assembly. So we need to check this. So let's go to test.asmdef. Got an error here. Oh yeah, so still can't find it. That's fine. So where's our test? Here, right? Or no, it's this one. Is it this one? Yeah, this one. So how do I look at this actual value of this thing? Okay. Tests, namespace, references, game assembly. Is it supposed to be references? Yeah, under references. Editor, exclude platforms, allow unsafe code, override references, precompiled references, auto reference false. Defines. Yeah, I don't know why why I can't find it. Maybe it just doesn't know how to import. So what if I do using player motion manager? Does it need a namespace maybe? Do I have to like say game assembly or something? Game assembly dot. So this guy's saying to delete all of your test files now that you have the assembly. I wonder if that will work. We can try that. 1 second. So I don't know if this will work, but let me try deleting the scripts. Seems a little weird. So close this. Yep, it doesn't work. Game assembly doesn't have, it does have player motion manager. So how do I import this? Not sure. Did I just type it wrong this whole time? Player position manager. Yeah, just typing the wrong thing. So it is here. Okay. Well, that's interesting then, because I deleted the files, and because they're in the, supposedly they're in the assembly. But where? Seems weird to me. Does it get rebuilt? Do they get added back? Save all. Okay, now it's saying you can't find player position manager. Why? That's weird because it's not actually failing. Run all. Fix compilation errors. Yeah, I think we did need those scripts back. Okay, let's do this. scripts are back. Reload this test. Now it should be fine, right? Boom. Okay. Gotta walk around. Then I'm gonna go through the door, and then there's gonna be a guy walking around. Cool. All right, that works. Great. So, oh no. See, maybe I could do using. See, it's like when there is a actual file with that name, it gets confused. Why? How is that possible? Go back to scripts. Open this up. Oh, maybe. Oh. Hold on. Does this need to reference? Nope. So I need assets, create, assembly definition. Okay, text mesh. Auto-referenced. See if that changed anything. References. I wonder if maybe we do need a namespace. What if I add a root namespace game apply? Could I then encode in the test try to import from that namespace using game dot Knows about game assembly. We also have a couple of debug projects in our project which are located in the debug by creating separate assembly for them and have it reference the real script assembly if needed and marking it as editor platform. We make sure that these scripts are never included in our build. The extra steps during build. Extra reading. You might be thinking that you don't want to create an assembly for all your scripts since you only want to test some of them, but it's true you can create an assembly for a subfolder, but this will get you into trouble as then you have to create reference from one real script assembly to another. So make sure everything is nice and tidy and makes sense. Scene scripts editor. Yeah, this is kind of funky. So, yeah, this should not be here. This doesn't know what game assembly is. We'll get rid of it. Scripts, assets, new assembly definition. Apply. Game assembly. Okay, add it back here. Use GUID. Game assembly. Any platform. Or apply. Assembly contains a reference to itself. Oh. Should this thing be editor or the test that's editor? No, it's tests that are editor. Okay. We're close. So we understand this one has to reference TextMesh Pro because the classes inside of the game assembly use it. And we know that the test assembly has to reference game assembly because the tests are going to use this code. But it doesn't work. It doesn't actually work. We go to the test and it does not find our code. Why? Why can it find it? It's because we don't use namespaces? What? Game player. It just doesn't know where it is. Would it be under core? Scripts. Explicit type. Oh. So it seemed like it worked when I deleted the scripts. Why? Source. Why would deleting these work? Definition file in game assembly. Game assembly in it, right? Yes, it does. Remove references, add reference, projects, game assembly. Okay. I added a reference. What? Now it works? Ugh. Visual Studio, come on. I just had to remove the reference and add it back. Well, that's frustrating. Alright, can we play the game? Yes. It doesn't teleport me. It must be because it's colliding or something. So like I have to be over here out of the way for a couple seconds. Then boom. No. Still glitching. Is it because I'm holding him down? No. Might be the order of operations on the script. Okay, that's a different bug. All right, to the tests. Cool. So can we actually run our tests? Run all. Great. This one still fails. Let's write an actual test. All right. So now that we created this guy, that's the when of our test, the event that's under test, and then we just say. Player position manager dot is active is what? There's a bunch of variables we cared about, properties we cared about. Starting position. Let's try starting position. Dot starting position, and what we'll do is go is equals or R equal. There we go. And then the first one we want to pass it is vector 3 dot 0. Okay, so this test is saying that we expect the 0 position to be the starting position of the player position manager. So let's run that test and see if that's true. Nope, it fails. What happened? It was actually 2.0, 0.0.0. Why is that? Let's check it out. So player position manager, it is 2. So I think we did that to fix a bug where you're stacking on top of the player. So let me just check that real quick. Maybe fixed. Yeah, we don't need that anymore. Cool. So back to 0, 0, 0. That means the test should pass. Boom, it does. Great, but that's not the only thing we care about in this test. We also care about the time to position dictionary being empty. So let's check that. We go assert dot is empty, and we go this guy, time to position dictionary. We get that off of the player position manager dot time to position dict is empty. Let's see if that works. Passes. Okay, what else? The current instance should be 0. Okay, so we can do r equal again, and this time we'll say the number 0, and we'll say current instance. Okay, what else? Time machine is an empty list, so we'll keep this one. We'll go time machine, and this one should reset position, should be false. So do this. Oops, hit the wrong button. Is equal, actually false, or we can change this to is false. Cool. Now you might be asking, why are we testing all this implementation details? And there's definitely some validness to that, and I think that's part of the design problems with this. We'll fix those. For now, I just want to get some tests down so we can have we'll know if we break anything when we're adding new features. But I'm going to refactor to a better design as we go, for sure. Where is this? Oh, our test is newing up a Unity mono behavior thing, right? So run all. Yeah, it gives us a warning, right? So maybe we should put this in a Unity test instead of a regular test, because this is a mono behavior and we're not supposed to use new on it. But we're broke now. Don't tell me I have to clear the reference again. Move, add. Okay. So weird, so broken. Okay, so what if we do this? Or maybe I can instantiate it out. I don't think you can instantiate inside of regular tests. We can try it. What's some code that we do that instantiate the door trigger? Look at the door trigger code. Yeah, something like this, right? But I don't think, does that only work with prefabs? Oh, it has to be a game object, doesn't it? Okay, so in this, no, this doesn't work actually. How do you instantiate in a test? So let's go back to Ray Wenderlich, see how they're writing their tests. So they do model behavior dot instantiate. Cool. Let's undo this. And we'll change this to mono behavior dot instantiate. Behavior dot instantiate. And resources dot load game object. Oh, you have to do it like this. That's weird. Okay. And then once you have that, you can pull the game component or the component off of it like this. So we'll do, this is just player manager position game object, and then this is player position manager equals player position manager dot get component, get component player position manager. Cool. Let's see if this actually works. I think we have this in the prefabs. Did I save? The object you want to instantiate is null, so maybe it's not in prefabs. Where is it? Prefabs, player position manager. And there's a prefab for this. Maybe it has to be in the other type of test. So let's do this. Let's move this to a Unity test. Or actually, we could do this. Unity test. We may need a yield for the assertions. Doesn't like the name. Why? Oh, the type is wrong. So if it's a Unity test, it has to be enumerator. Okay. All right. What's the failure object? You want to instantiate is null, so it still didn't work. I wonder why. Maybe it doesn't know about the prefabs? Why would it not know about prefabs though? Resource.load game object. Is that what we want? Load game object. Prefab game. Maybe it's because this is a game. No, it's game. Type is game. Player position manager, player position manager. Manager, game object, get component. Game object. Game object. Mono behavior dot instantiate. Maybe there's something wrong with this. Oh, prefabs? Did I name it differently? No, it's prefabs. It's under Pseudo Paradox. I'm assuming that's the right root directory. Okay, load resources. Get components. Get components. Can't find it, huh? Let's check out the code here and see if they have a different file structure. Resources or scripts. Scripts. Just under here. Scripts. Game assembly. Where's their prefabs? Oh, under resources. We might not have resources. That might be the problem. Yeah, our prefabs are just here. It's not. There's no resources. Okay. So we need a resources folder instead. Is there resources under source? Oh, there's resources here. Okay, so prefabs is in the wrong spot. We're gonna move this, see what breaks. Run the game. Okay, maybe it's smart enough to move everything it needed to move. So it doesn't jump the player, which is an annoying bug. There we go. Okay. Alright, now it's in the right place. Now we go to the test runner. Run all. Still doesn't find it. Test can only yield null. Not sure why, but let's change it to null. Okay, wait. Edit mode test can only return. Can you yield null? Why did it pass then? Hold on. Okay, no error. Go to test runner. Run all. Okay, no error. Cool. Does this need to be a Unity test? Let's just check this again. We'll do test. We won't do this yield bit. See if this still works. Probably won't. Probably mono behavior needs to be done in a Unity test, but I want to see that for myself. It says it works. Okay, great. So let's not use a Unity test unless we have to. So we can get rid of this one. Get rid of this. Alright, one thing I like to do in my tests that's super overkill, but I do it anyways, and it's just my style, is I like to refactor these, refactor methods to make this super easy to understand, which is instantiate. Oh, come on, rename. Instantiate. Nope. Why does a rename never work? Enter, introduce local variable, extract method, and we'll call it instantiate game player position manager. I don't like instantiate, so we'll call it create player position manager. Right. And then this will be extract method. This will be verify, or because then default properties were set. So this is actually, sorry, this should be named slightly different. It should be inline and keep. No, I want to rename. I know you have a rename, dude. I know it. I know for a fact. This is when create player position manager. Okay, so this is my test. When player position manager created, then default property set. When, so I should change this slightly again. I don't know what's wrong with this rename. It's Command R. When player position manager created. Okay, so when player position manager is created, then the default properties were set. So one thing I don't like about this is that it's returning a player position here. It's returning a game object. How about instead we combine these two steps? So and oops, here we don't return anything. So void, and instead we set manager we're already doing this actually, setting the player position manager, so we just call that. And we no longer need this. And so it will already know where to get player position manager from. It's here. Okay, and it doesn't like it. Object reference is required for a non-static field. Right. So why is this static? I forgot about this guy. Game object equals. Cool. There we go. All right. So took a bit together, but let's check out what this actually looks like. Nope. I want to move this whole function down. How do I do that? Nope. Nope. All just moves to one line. I don't want to do that. I want to move this whole thing down. Weird. This editor is so weird. Okay. All right. So if you zoom in and you only look at this, okay. If if you look at this test, it says the test is when player motion manager created, then the default properties are set. And what does the test do? Well, it's when player position manager created, then default properties were set. So this is encapsulating the event, the player position manager being created, and this is encapsulating all the assertions, all the verifications that all the defaults were set. If you really want to know how to create this object, you can look at this function. If you really want to know all the different properties that it's verifying, you can look at this function. Otherwise, you'll just see, when you look at this test suite, a simple, straightforward test. Encapsulation for the win. Okay. I like to do that. A lot of people think it's overkill. Don't judge. Save all. Run all. One thing we also could do is tear down. So tear down, I believe, is actually this attribute, which I called annotations the other day, but it's actually called attribute in C#. So attribute, public void, I don't know if it's public void, tear down. Okay. And here we'll do destroy player manager dot game object. Nope. Game. Yes. Game object. And we don't know what destroy is. I bet that's a mono behavior as well. Behavior dot destroy. Cool. Just to clean things up for the next test. And make sure tests still pass. They do not. Destroy immediate instead. Okay. We'll try that. Can't spell. No, that's right. 2 M's. I don't like how clunky this is reloading every time, but whatever. Cool, it works. This is the error from the last time, I believe. We can play. Run all. Cool. All right, but this is not the only thing that we care about in Player Position Manager. Let's look at it again. These are all the properties, yes, but it also has functions. Again, we don't need this one. Store position, which I just realized should be capitalized, so let me rename this. Store. Make sure it didn't break anything. Great, still works. Hey, cat, can't see. As you want. All right, store position just needs to, I shouldn't say just. So what store position does is one thing, which is great. We wanted to do one thing if possible. So let's test this. So we start with another test. We go test public void when, hey, when store position called, then position saved. Pretty straightforward. One little refactor I'll do here is that really this can be a given in a different test. It's the when in this test because we're testing the creation, but it's going to be part of our given. So a given is a third element of a test. It's setting up the prior state not the action. Before the action is taken, what is the state of the world? In this case, there's no state that matters. You just create the player position manager. That event is what we care about. In this case, we still only care about one event, which is storing the position, but beforehand we needed a couple things. We need an instance of player motion manager to already exist, so that's not what we're testing. We already have a test for that, but it needs to be part of the given state, and we also are going to need a position to be able to save a position in time. So let's go. All right, so let's do that. So it's basically the exact same thing, but it's going to be called given. So to reuse this, let me do another extraction here. Extract method called given player position manager. Okay. And this is the one we're going to use. Sorry, this is the one we're going to use for this test. Cool. And so that's part of the setup. I think if we try to add we also need a vector 3, right? And we need a time container, I believe. Or no, we need text mesh pro. Let's look at it. It saves the current time, and the current time is a string. Okay, so really it can be any string. In our case, we'll use the same format that our actual time is, but really it could be any string. It could be tacos, and it would still work. So, but let's just do 12, 10, 0, 0. Okay, this is our string. It needs a name. Sorry, this will be our given current time equals. Okay. And then we'll do, so that's the current time. We need the current position. So that's a vector 3. Vector 3 given current position equals, and we'll just use, I don't like using 0, so let's give it a new vector 3. New vector 3. I don't like using 0 because what if 0 is the default or something? I don't know. Okay, and then, so those are the 3 things we're going to need. Now we can call our function. So how do I do that? Well, for now, I'll just call it directly here. So I'll do player position manager dot store position, and it's going to want the position given current position and the time given current time. Great. Okay, and then we'll say, so now we have to assert, so how do we know the position was saved? Well, we have access to player position manager dot not time machine, the other one, time to position dictionary, right? So if I pass in the same exact string, 12, 10, 00, then it should give me back the same value. So let's put an assertion here, assert dot r equal, I don't know why I didn't short or autocomplete, r equal, okay, and in this case, I'll put given current string, given current time equals, not equals, okay, great. Actually, that's not true. This is going to give back the current position when we pass it the current time. Great. So let's see if that worked. Great, it works. But how do I know? Maybe I'm testing, maybe my test is broken because we didn't do TTD. We didn't write this code where it was failing first and then we got it to work. it could just be broken and passing no matter what. So I'm going to say that the current position is expected to be 0. And this should actually fail. Good, it failed. It was not 0 like it expected. And so one last test we could do is the other way around. We don't need to, but I'm just being extra careful here and also showing you guys how this works, right? So if I gave it a different key, like taco, when I run this, it should also fail because it's probably going to throw an exception, to be honest. Let's see what happens. Yeah, system collection generic key not found exception. Makes sense, right? Because we never stored taco as a key. It's a valid key, but we didn't set that key, so great. Cool. And then now we do some cleanup. So this is the, we can go extract function again, and we'll say then position was saved. I'll just move this, keep things organized a bit, put our given here. Cool. Control K, D, format. And even these things don't really matter. They could be hidden. So what if we did this? And then you wouldn't even need to pass these in, right? Because it would already know about it. Well, that's not true, sorry. This is our when. The when needs it. But these ones, I mean. These ones could be removed. And it doesn't know where that function is because I changed the expected attributes, so get rid of those. And now it uses the global ones. Great. Go back here. This can be extracted. This will be when store position called. Cool. So our test is pretty straightforward. Put this here. Oops. Undo. Just cleaning up. Okay, D. All right. One last thing. We shouldn't. I want to create these for the test. I don't want to create. I don't want to put values in them here. So I'll do this. I'll create a new function called given current time and position is set. No, given current time and position is set. Position are set. Cool. Given current time and position are set. Great. Generate that method and do this here. We don't need the types because they're already declared. And this is a given, but I want it to be under the other one. Oh, that didn't work. Didn't work either. Dun. Okay. And right, so this function reads slightly different than the name, but that's because we don't put the state in the name necessarily. Given player position manager, given current time and position are set, when store position called, then position was saved. So when store position called, then position saved. Cool. Test should still pass after the refactor. We didn't change any behavior, we just changed the design of the test. Run all. Great. Okay, and now we're cooking. Now there's one more thing here called save time travel. Probably going to change this at some point, but this is currently all in this one place, so we need to test all these things happen when you save the time travel. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, when store position called, no, when save time travel called, then time travel saved. That's so vague, but that's because our design is, it's a weird abstraction for our design. We need to think about a better abstraction at some point, but for now, it is what it is. Okay, so we create these things. We give it a starting position. I think I still want to do those things. This one we don't need anymore though. So we'll do player position manager dot, and we'll do save time. What is it? Save time travel? It's not showing up. So player position manager, save time travel. Capital S. It is. Why is that not working? Save time travel. Ah, it's internal. Why is it internal? Okay, I don't know. So one way we could test this is whoever calls this, the trigger or whatever, we could test the trigger, and we could test the well, no, we need to test this. Okay, it's fine. It's public. Cool. Save time travel. And now it exists. Great. As before, we can. I won't extract this yet. Okay, then position was saved. That's not what we want. Instead, we want assert. I don't know. True. Then we'll go player position manager dot position reset. I don't know. Starting position should reset position is true. I think that's one of the things it does. Let's check. Yeah, that's the last thing it does. So let's see if that works. Assert dot true. Okay. Let's see if this part works. Cool. That works. Now let's see if these things are going to be testable. So how do we test these things? The dictionary time machine copy gets saved to the time machine. So basically we want to check that the time machine is not empty. We could probably do a little better and check that the time position has this dictionary inside of it. Because we know this dictionary, right? So let's do that. Let's go assert dot equal. So we'll go player position. So the expectation is player position dot time to dictionary is what we're going to find when we call player position dot time machine 0, right? Because it's just the first time we're saving. So okay, let's see if that's true. No, it is not true. Says equal should not be used for assertions. Okay, well, we could say R equal. I think that's what they want. Yeah, that's what they wanted. Okay. So, because look at it's taking the current time to position dictionary, which is created when we created the player position manager, and it's putting it, or at least a copy of it, inside the time machine. And because it's the first time it's doing this, because the first time we're calling save time travel, it's the first index 0. Okay, cool. We also want to make sure that the dictionary is cleared. Oh, so that's interesting. Because if it was cleared, then it wouldn't actually be the thing that's inside of it. This should have been cleared already. Why are they equal? So yeah, we really can't tell what's inside of it. The only thing we could do is we could make this a unity test, and we could store multiple positions inside of the dictionary, and then make sure that those positions are saved inside the time machine. What we really should be doing is storing this before. We should make our own copy, right? So we could do something like this. Basically this. Time machine copy. That's not a time machine copy, that's a dictionary copy. I just realized that name's wrong. Okay. Now let's see if they're still equal. It's probably, I think the reason they're equal is because we didn't store any values in them in the test. So yeah, that makes sense actually. So I guess a better test would be to actually have something inside of this. So one way to do that would be given store position was called previously. So let's go here and let's abstract this. Extract. No. Extract function. Okay. Given store position call store position. Dang it. Given store position called. Given store position called. No. Given player position manager. Given store position. Yeah, that one's wrong. This is the one I wanted to rename. Given store position called. Okay. Fine. Given player position manager. That's really what I'm trying to say. Not called, but given store, given, you know what, I'm conflating two different things, so let's do this. Let's put this back to the way it was. And really, this is just going to be a different function. I don't want this to be too confusing. So really what I want to say here is given previous position stored. Given some position stored. That's really what it is. Cool. So we want to do that here. Okay. So now, if I didn't use this copy, it would have failed. Well, first, I guess just to make sure it passes. Okay. So yeah, let me demonstrate this again. So this guy has actually already been reset at this point. So testing it like this, they're not going to be they're not going to have the same things in them. Good, failed. With 0 elements actually is okay. One has 1 element, one has 0 elements. Right. Perfect. So we can go back to this, but we do want to make sure that this one has been cleared. So what we'll probably say is empty. Right? Because we want to make sure the dictionary is cleared. Right here. That one. So now we have a copy has been saved. That's this. The dictionary has been cleared for the new room, and the instance has been incremented. Oh, we don't have that actually. The position has been reset. Where's that? Oh, I already had it. I just didn't copy it here. So there's actually one missing. Assert dot is equals, and then we go 1, and we go player position manager dot current instance, because it's been incremented. Starts at 0, increments to 1. Makes sense. Save. Run all. It fails. Which one fails? Equals should not be used for assertions. I thought when you're doing numbers, though, you could do that. Okay. All good. So we tested all these. We have another given here. So what this given is time to position copy. So we actually can store this. I think we can have the copy here. We don't set it yet though. We set it when we do this. And then this is our new when, the thing being tested. So extract, we'll say when save time travel calls. Okay. And probably a better name but for this, but we'll go with then time travel was saved. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in there, but okay. Alright, again, just keeping the high-level test very simple, easy to read. Okay. Alright, when is moved to the when section. Okay. All right. when save time travel called, then time travel saved. Given player position manager, given current time and position are set, given some positions stored when save time travel called, then time travel was saved. Yeah, pretty low level tests here, but it's what we got. It's the behavior we got. Also, there's some imports we're not using. Let's get rid of these. Do one last reformat, save, run the test. All right, that gives us some safety now. If we go and change if we change the code at all, we have some safety around the player motion manager class and how it currently works. It will also help people understand how the code, or like what this thing currently does. If you want to know what a player motion manager does, you can kind of see these things. They're pretty straightforward though. They pretty much do what the function names say. Well, these are pretty generic, I guess. But anyways, cool. So this class is tested. Next thing we'll probably test is something like the door trigger, time container. Not much to test here. Just data object, variant movement. Okay, so we actually need to finish writing this code so it actually moves instead of teleports around the room. It actually walks, right? But this is something we can write tests for as we go. What else? Third person movement. So this one needs to be redesigned for sure. I think there's some other elements that we need to pull off of this that we can delegate to instead of trying to do everything inside of this script. Kind of like how we use the player position manager. There's probably another thing that could be used, that could be here. So like we didn't put the store position inside of third person movement, we put it inside player position manager. So move character is inside of third person movement because I guess that's what it's supposed to do. But if we look at what it does a lot. It has stuff that has to do with the keyboard and getting the current direction. I feel like this could be extracted to some kind of util or something. So basically we could say get current direction magnitude. That's all you really care about here, I think. Because where do we use this? Do we use horizontal? Just there. Do we use vertical? Just there. Do we use direction? Okay, so we do use direction here in this math, but even this math should live somewhere else, I believe. So this is about moving a player, but it's so low level. This math probably could live in a util, because we can reuse this math in the variant movement as well, probably. Same thing with finding them. It's all about finding the move direction. And then controller.move. So really all this code should do is check if it needs to reset its position, maybe, I guess. And then if not, move. I guess it could set the animator. I'm not too sure. Maybe if you can get down to just these two and then get rid of this and this might be a lot cleaner. And I guess keep this. This one, I almost feel like we could do that up here, but that is an update, so I don't know. I don't like update having more logic, so yeah, but there's definitely something we can delegate to here. We'll figure that out. All right, but at least we have one test, so that kicks us off in doing TDD next time. I'm gonna check this code in, and that'll be it. Thanks for watching.